This is the beginning of my Go Gateway house. This is like a school of experience. This is how I came to create Ken Up, Ken Down. This is a package experience that I got from interviewing people in the DMV area and also people in the virtual world. So that is artists, creatives, locals, professionals, students. This is before and during COVID. Here are their stories, experiences, and perspectives. I want to start off by, I want to know if you ever had like a spiritual awakening. And is that something that you can share?
Yeah, but it's a lot. Like, I don't know where to start. So, throughout my life, I've been Christian, Catholic first, then Christian, and then, what's it called? Non-denominational. So I've been in a lot of different churches, and I've realized a pattern between each and every one of the religions. They have basically different interpretations of the word, and I'm like, I can interpret this on my own for myself, and it be for me. Because when people go to church, like, it's been plenty of times I went to church and went to sleep, and I felt like it was for a reason, because whatever they were saying to me didn't resonate with me that day, and I didn't need to hear it, or it was some BS in my eyes. So, not to say that the word is BS, but when people interpret stuff in their own way and try to inflict it on somebody else's life, I don't feel like that's right. So going through that and, going through my own path and, trying to discover the real meaning behind spirituality, like what these deities really stood for, like just trying to discover different things about spirituality and religion. I strayed away from Christianity and real like hard religions, like you have to live your life by the book, blah blah. And so in doing so, I discovered like my cousin, she started doing tarot, and I'm like, that really interests me. And she started doing my readings, and she said that I have a gift. And when she told me that, I was like, I feel like I do, because a lot of the synchronicities that have happened in my life, I'm like, this has to be something meaningful for me. Like, so I moved to Louisiana when I was 16, and I spent my last 2 years there. And my mom told me we were moving there for my grandfather. And when we moved there, our area code was 318 Shreveport. So we would go back and forth to Texas and go see my grandfather or whatever. And then it just so happened that he had cancer, and he was on his last days. He passed away March 18th, which is 318. And that's just so happened to be my area code. So that synchronicity. And then my aunt moving back from Germany, she used to always make this joke about white people. She would say YT, like 2520. And her house that she got had 2520 on it. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's weird. And then I always have deja vu moments. I'm like, I really need to tap into my intuition. Like, it's more to me than I'm really tapping into. So then I started looking into Eureka traditions. I had this video that I posted on my story of this lady, I forget her name. She did a YouTube video on why the black people are going through what they're going through now. And she basically said there was a curse put on us, and we have to, like, if you notice, we're the only culture that has problems with getting it together. Like, as far as the black women and the black men coming together and being unified, there was always this conflict and tension between black men and black women. We're the only culture that calls women bitches and hoes freely. Am I allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
So, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, this is we're the only culture that's going through this type of thing. And it was because she stated that the women will get all the praise, and we're 90%, because the subconscious mind is 90% of us, but we don't tap into it. We only tap into the 10%, which is the conscious. And the subconscious is the feminine aspect of us. The world is 90% water and 10% earth, or the fucking, the dirt and shit. So water is the feminine aspect. Like, we were getting most praise than the male divine. And so because of that, the male divine felt like, oh, I'm not getting any praise, but I'm powerful as well. And so he overthrew the matriarchy and created a patriarchy. And that's why the Bible is very patriarchal. The Bible is a writing of all the spiritual books from before, but turned patriarchal. So it was basically like a controversial thing. Like nowadays, people look to the Bible, and the Bible is a very sacred writing, but it's just in a male version. That's what people like. They say we have a male God. They say Adam ate the apple. Adam, like females are evil. You know, that type of thing. It's not true. Like we couldn't have came from a rib of a man, and we birthed you guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that type of stuff didn't make sense to me, and it made sense when she explained it in the video. And so from that point on, I started really diving deep into spirituality and getting back to the African culture and everything like that. And so that moment on has been like, my life has changed drastically. Like people have been coming to me just out of the blue and telling me certain things that I need to know on my path. Like this one time, so after she did my tarot reading and said that, you know, I have this gift and I'm a very divine being, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. So I watched that video and I started spreading that word. And then this guy hit me up on Instagram. He was like, Oshun, no, not Oshun. Obatala sent me to you to tell you something, basically. And he said he wanted to do my palm reading. And he basically told me everything my cousin told me, and then in more depth about my life. Like, I have a blockage that needs to be cleared. And a lot of people say people like spiritually scam others because they're like, oh, you got to pay for this and that to get this cleared or whatever. And I feel like if I'm giving anybody money out of the goodness of my heart, it's going to come back 10 times fold. So specifically that day, he told me that, you know, I need to do an abo, which is a sacrifice in the African traditions, to clear this blockage and manifest this goodness and, you know, receive the gifts in my life. And so I gave him the $250. And he still kept in contact. He still, you know, reached out or whatever. He showed me videos of him doing the ebo. And then that same day I was going out with her actually, and I was we were going out to eat while they were doing the ebo sacrifice. And her mentor was wearing an African print dress, and something just kept telling me to ask her, like, does she practice Yoruba traditions? Is she spiritual, whatever? And it kept bugging me to the end of the night. I finally asked her. And then she was like, yeah, I do magic, and, you know, I'm really good at money spells and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay. And so then while we were in the car, my friend called me, and he was like, because I do Forex as well. And we made a joint account on IQ Cent, and he put up $250, I put up $250 in the account, and it equated to $500. And he was like, he called me and was like, you know what, I'm a fall back on doing Forex right now. Keep the money, keep the profit. So I got my money back. And more, because we had profited on the account. And I'm like, okay, so, you know, all this is happening for a reason. And then kept in contact with him. And then with her mentor, she had told me a lot as far as spirituality goes as well. And then the next morning, it was like, it was crazy because she called me, or no, she texted me the next morning and was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I forgot to tell you I made it home last night. She was like, what did you dream about last night? And I had gotten to it with my boyfriend, and I went to sleep in my room. And once I closed my eyes, I seen like this majestic being. Like, it was a really pretty lady. I couldn't like tell the details of her face, but it was just like a majestic female. And I went into a deep sleep after that. But she was like, well, my friend just called me. Well, she texted me and said that she had a dream about you. And I was like, I don't know this lady from nothing. Like, how she have a dream about me? So she told me that I wouldn't let her sleep. And I was like, okay, so I need to hear more. So she called me and put us on three-way. And she was like, you don't have very good discern right now. You needed me to allow, because she said my name, mind you. She said my name. Kyla would not let me sleep. And I was like, okay. She was like, you wouldn't let me sleep because you needed me to stay with you. I don't know what comfort you needed at the time, but you need to have discern. You need to ground yourself. Keep yourself grounded. Stay happy. And any worries that you have, look to spiritual guidance, because I can't keep doing this shit. She was like, literally, I was pulling her. She said, you're very powerful. You kept pulling me back with you. And then I just kind of sat in it, and then you were okay. And I was like, okay, that it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, like, I didn't really know that your body can ascend. If you are only focused on ascending and you haven't yet grounded yourself, your body can wander while you sleep. Your spirit can wander. And I didn't know that until that very moment. I'm like, that makes a lot of sense, because Kundalini yoga, they say, is the most dangerous practice of yoga, only because you're aligning yourself with your highest being. And after every meditation or every practice, you have to ground yourself at the end, because you raise your vibration so much. If you're not grounded, you can just wander for other souls and spirits to affect you. And so when she told me that, I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense, because I do a lot of Kundalini yoga, but I don't practice the grounding, or I don't finish the whole practice thoroughly. So that all that stuff happened, and then like it just kept happening. Like I kept seeing my angel numbers, kept seeing manifestation numbers, like a lot of synchronicities within my life. So I just grasp it and keep moving forward, keep, you know, looking into spirituality and all that stuff. So that was my sort of awakening to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it, because at that time that everything was happening, were you seeing those numbers, like the communication? Because I've heard about some people say they see 111, 2223,
Right,
like,
right.
And they say the universe is communicating with you. So when you know you were having all these interaction with all these people that were coming into your life, were you seeing all these numbers?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the numbers came before I even had the spiritual awakening. I didn't know what the numbers meant.
Yeah.
But I looked in deeper. So every day you have a different number. They have this one solid angel number. My one solid angel number is 1111. And like that's always gonna stick with me. I'm always notice it. Like it's really energy, because when I notice like I'm just chilling or whatever, and I feel like I have to look a certain direction at a certain moment, and I see this number, and then it changes like right after I look at it. It's like, okay, that was meant for me. And then I look up what the angel number is. It's all about your thoughts. Like they tell you to focus on your thoughts and focus on what you're really manifesting into your life. Think positive and everything, and that's what will come. But 123, I've been seeing a lot. 333, 888, like it's energy.
So, you know, we live in a physical world, right? But there's also a spiritual world. There's a metaphysical world. We haven't tapped into our greatness yet, right? You know, like you said, we have the higher self, right? So at this point, you know, like we all learn language, like in the physical realm, right? But in the spiritual realm, like, have you learned that language? Do you understand it now? Are you like grounded over there as well? Like,
so
you get what I'm saying?
Yes. People have, like, we all speak the same language as far as English, right?
Yep.
But if a slang, like if somebody from the hood come talk to somebody that's proper, they're gonna be looking at them like they stupid, and vice versa, because they don't speak the same language, even though they're saying English words. Is, you know, so with as far as spirituality goes and the metaphysics, all that, they're gonna find a way to speak to you as who you are, because like people that do tarot, if you watch the videos on YouTube and stuff, there's a lot of people that are just like how I am. I'm free, like I say whatever I want to say. I cuss when I want to and everything like that. But then there's some of them that don't do that. They're more reserved and don't cuss and stuff like that. So spirit will talk to you how you are. Talk like the language. It's not like it's not a hard language, or like you have to say this, you have to say that. It's kind of like a very lenient type of thing, but it's just whatever resonates with you. Like that's what I would say.
And like, you know, how versed are you in, you know, magic and rituals?
I can read candles. When I don't really, like, I've done a spell before. I believe in karma too, as far as spells go. Like, I don't believe that anybody should do a love spell, like, because you're really putting somebody up against their will to love you, even though you might not be the one for them. He might not be the one, like, for you, like, you know what I'm saying? So as far as spells go, I consider myself versed, but I know there's a lot more for me to learn as well, because I can read candles. I just learned how to do that like a couple of days ago. Cleansing myself before I do spells, and it's a lot for me to learn, but I do think I'm versed enough to tell somebody else, like, hey, this is what you do.
Now when it comes to, you know, and I bring it to language because I do believe that there has to be a language that's spoken in the spiritual realm. Like, you know, the people who are in tune they have to know how to communicate, right? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's the same reason why people who are not there don't understand it. The people who are there, they got to have some type of language where they, you know, they understand each other.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So if you, I mean, it's just like somebody that's foreign coming to our country and having to learn English. Like it will come naturally if you be around a whole bunch of people that speak English. You're gonna learn something. So it's about putting yourself in that like realm around people that know some stuff in order for you to grasp the language. Because I didn't know shit about spirituality.
So do you have mentors then, or is it something that you think is better if it's just you and you are inside yourself and you just get in tune with the universe and your subconscious?
So obviously people, like everybody that's at a certain point in their life that can be seen as, you know, higher, they've always had mentors throughout their life, people placed in your life to help you out with whatever and teach you whatever. So yes, I've had people tell me, like, I consider that lady that had the video a mentor to me because she taught me a lot of stuff. And then people that just came into my life or that I brought interest to or, you know, seeked guidance from, they've taught me a lot. So yeah, mentors are important. They're gonna come though. Like they're not you. It's not something that you have to go look for. And if you do go look for it, kudos. But who's to say this person is really for you, unless they just, you know, come to you. That's what I think.
Yeah. And you think people are like just born with it, or regular people can become very spiritual?
So your soul chooses the path before you even come to life. Your soul chooses the path that it wants to be on. And in Yoruba traditions, you can go to a Babaloa, which is like a priest or whatever over there in their traditions, and they can tell you who your orishas are, who's your guardian angels, basically. And if you come to them like a random person, hasn't looked into spirituality or nothing, doesn't feel like this really resonates with them, but try to find out who your orishas are, they can tell you, oh, your soul chose to be Christian or your soul chose to be Buddhist. Like they can tell you what path your soul decided to go on.
Yeah.
And we live multiple lives. Like, I believe in reincarnation. And if your soul is at a point where you haven't learned every lesson, because in astrology, it can show you what lessons you haven't learned and what lessons you're trying to learn in this lifetime. And so if your soul is at its peak and you're at your highest potential and you've reached your level of divinity, you will go up the ascension ladder, because it's God, and then it's the orishas and layouts, and then it's like the spirit realm, angels and spirit guides and all that stuff, and then it comes to earthly beings like humans and like metaphysical demons are people that have lived on earth that are unsatisfied with their death and haven't like settled it. Like spirits that roam that are demonic or have like, you know, negative tendencies are the ones that just haven't resolved their issues and just died a painful death and want to inflict pain on others. That's really all it is. And yeah.
So do you ever have spiritual attacks? You know, is that a thing?
It's very much a thing, but I wouldn't say that I've had one. I feel like it's tried to happen before, but since I'm so strong within myself, I won't allow it. And I say that because, you know, a lot of people that have paralysis, they're not strong. They're not like sleep paralysis. Not saying you're not a strong person. It's saying like your spirit isn't strong, because you can fight that. Like there's been plenty of times where it almost happened to me and I think really negatively in the beginning of my sleep, and then I just flip that shit. Like it's not gonna happen. My boyfriend has had sleep paralysis before, and I was telling him like, you need to pray. Like this is really all it is someone coming to mess with you. It's not a joke. Like any dream that you remember was a sign for you. It's a message that you need to figure out what it means, because we have dreams every night. REM cycle, like you have dreams every night, multiple dreams, but the ones that you remember are messages. And with spiritual attacks, they come when you're at your most vulnerable state, which is when you're sleeping and your spirit is able to roam. And so I feel like that attack almost happened to me that night, and I knew it was going to come and I needed more help. That's probably why I, you know, allowed her to, you know, be with me during my sleep. But I don't feel like anything else has tried to happen, but it hasn't. Yeah.
Now, people have also said like our bodies are vessels, you know what I'm saying? Or like a temple for like spirits to live in and whatnot, right? So now, I feel like most of us grow up and we look at angels as the best spirits, or the spirits that you should pray to or you should aim for and whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
should you also train your demons? You know what I'm saying? Should you welcome your demons as opposed to like driving them out? Because maybe if you were to train them, they would work in your benefit.
So it's not.
You get what I'm saying?
It's yeah, I get what you're saying, but it's not training them because everybody has their own demons.
Mhm.
It's confronting them. So
Okay.
that's the word to use, because when everybody has their demons, they suppress them. They don't want to confront them. They don't want them to come and manifest into their real life because they want to put it in the past. But confronting your demons and dealing with them, that's the way you calm them. That's the way you like put them away for real, because suppressing them will only allow them to come out at your most vulnerable state, and then it's really nothing you can do because you can't fight that. But when you're strong enough to confront them and actually deal with them, like talking to therapists, that's real. Like you have to. Like when certain situations, like you can help yourself, but it's just some things that you don't notice about yourself that somebody else will be able to tell you, like certain patterns that you have because of certain situations that you've been through. And so,
But can we live without demons? Like,
can you live with your
yeah,
demons?
or
That's
or
up to you.
or demons are always going to be a part of your life, so you do have to accept that and just like you said, confront it,
Right.
as
You
opposed to
have
just trying to
confront and
get rid of.
accept.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Confront and accept.
so you believe that you have demons yourself?
Yeah.
Okay,
Of course.
and have you come to an understanding of your demons and why they operate, how they
So I'm
operate?
still going because I like, as much as people see me as a happy person, like I have real anger issues, and I know that about myself, and it only comes out when I feel like I've been betrayed, like because my mom. So me and mom had a rocky relationship, and I feel like all of her insecurities and all of her troubles she inflicted on me as a child, and I fought my mom. A lot of people say that, that's something like you should never do, and, look at it as, bad, but they will never understand unless they were in my shoes. And I don't believe that you should ever call your daughter a bitch, a hoe, talk about her like a dog, or put your hands on her. Because if I feel like, whoopings are different. Whoopings are different than actual abuse. And they always want to say that, oh, I was just disciplining you, blah, blah, blah. But when when you did something wrong to somebody, when you hurt them to an extent to where you got to tell them, oh, if anybody asks you got into a car accident type of shit. Like, that's not a whooping. That's not something that should just slide past. And if you treating me like a bitch off the street, I ain't got no choice. And it was for so long that anger manifested until a point where, like, I could not hold myself back from doing what I felt like I had to do.
Yeah.
Because, so the situation was, I was getting beaten by her from when I was younger, and she was calling me all types of names. And she would always try to, like, I don't like people having any type of power over me. I don't like authority for this reason, because whenever she would beat me and stuff, she would be like, oh, go wash the dishes. And I'll be like, no. Because you treated me like a bitch off the street. She was like, I'm your mom, blah, blah, blah. But you were my mom when you did all that to me. Like, you have to think about what you do to your child and how it really affects them and how it's going to manifest throughout their life. Because my anger is something serious.
Yeah.
And
what was the, because I really feel like, when I do agree with you, any type of like physical punishment, it's a form of abuse. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there's layers to it, right? And you can't tell me that when you were beating somebody physically, it's always to like teach them something. A lot of times, it's anger that you have yourself and you are inflicting on your child. You know what I'm saying? Because you wouldn't try to beat somebody who was physically stronger than you, like how you beat your child. You know what I'm saying? That person is weaker than you, so you inflict that kind of pain on them easier. So what was the living situation? What was the family dynamics? What was going on? Where was the anger coming from with your mom?
So it's a real touchy subject, but it was me, my mom, my brother, and my stepdad. So I was a daddy's girl, only girl in the house or whatever. And I love my father unconditionally because he took care of me. I felt like that was my backbone within the house, because my mom, she was always gone. She was on a ship. She was in the Navy. So he took care of us and stuff. And I never seen, as a child, you don't see everything that goes on, like as far as the cheating and the arguing and stuff like that. We saw them argue, and we saw him put his hands on my mom, but we also saw her putting her hands on him back. And so as a child, I was just like, you know, this is what y'all do. This is what love is. And that's what I, you know, depicted love as, because that's all I saw. And so it was this one instance where he had punched my mom in the face. They were out drinking one night, and he hit her in the face, and she had a black eye. And I was asleep through everything. And in the morning, I woke up, and my brother's setting up booby traps and stuff. And I was like, what's going on? My mom had on some sunglasses. And I was like, did he put his hands on you? And she ain't answer me. And then I saw a tear come down her face, and I was like, okay, like he put his hands on her. And so from that moment, like I was really, really angry. And I didn't talk to my father, like, and it hurt me because I loved him so much. And I was he was the only person that really had my back, I felt like. And so I didn't talk to him and stuff. And then my mom sat us down one day, and she was like, you know, that's still your father. He took care of y'all, blah, blah, blah. So I feel like, you know, you should at least talk to him. No matter what we go through, he's still your father, blah, blah. And so I took that to heart. Like, okay, he is still my father, and people do fuck up. Like, so this one day I needed some tights at school, and I called her. She didn't answer the phone. So I called him. He came, brought me tights. My first time seeing him in months. And, you know, it was a heartfelt moment between us. And I came back home, and she was like, why the F would you call him? Da, da, da. And I got in trouble for being a child and needing something and having someone come give it to me, right? So that's what I saw it as, like, you tripping because he came and brought me some clothes when you weren't there to do that for me. And so from that moment on, when she felt like, you know, I was still talking to him and I gained a relationship back with him, I was an outcast. Like, she would fuss at me more, beat me more. My brother would jump in on situations where he wasn't involved, and it was always like a 2-against-1 scenario, and I hated it. Like, I felt like I was always gonna be. My brother apologized to me like a couple months ago, and I didn't know I needed an apology because I didn't feel like I was still that hurt, but I was very hurt. And when he apologized, I just bust out crying because I'm like, yeah, y'all was fucked up back then. Like, y'all would really put your hands on me and talk to me any type of way and do me really dirty. And so for years of abuse, and physical and verbal, me and my mom had a rocky relationship. But then when we moved to Louisiana, I had no choice but to live with her. I didn't like my biological father, and I couldn't live with my stepdad because it's just not legal. Yeah. So we moved to Louisiana, and I'm with my mom. We had, like, we mended things, but she's the type of person to never confront an actual situation and talk about it. We get over things through time and just act like nothing ever happened. But then when shit comes up again, it's still like this big thing because we never resolved the issue. Sure. So some small shit happened where she tried to call me out my name and tried to tell me something. And I got upset about it. Like, I threw a fit. And she kicked me out of the house, and I was crying because my grandfather had just passed away. And then she wanted to go to his house every weekend, and I had friends in Louisiana. I didn't want to, like, sit and dwell in the situation. I know that was her father, and she was just trying to protect me by bringing me over there every weekend. But I explained to her, like, this is my spring break. I want to spend it with my friends. I don't want to keep dwelling on the situation. I literally watched my grandfather pass away in his house, and I don't want to be back in that situation, like, and relive the whole thing. So she wasn't understanding me, and I wasn't understanding her. And so when we got into the argument, she had said something about me bringing a boy over to the house and blah, 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 and trying to portray me as a hoe, when really the only thing that happened was he came over, and my little brother, we was playing outside. The neighbor saw that the boy was over the house, so he told her when she came home. And I'm like, you can't, she was like, you bringing niggas in and out my house, blah, blah, when that wasn't the situation at all. Like, I just really wanted to get my mind off of the shit that's been going on. And so when she said that to me, and knowing that my truth hasn't been heard at all, like, she portrays me to be this bad girl, and I'm like, I really haven't done shit. So hours of arguing and stuff. She had came up behind me. So she was on the phone with my father, and she was trying to tell her side. She was like, this is why she can't stay in my house. I'm like, I'm not about to let her talk to me no type of way. And he was like, just listen to your mom. And she was like, this is why she got to get the fuck out of my house, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, bye, bitch. And I got up and I walked away. And so she came up behind me. She's like, what the fuck you just say? and I felt her. I felt her coming up behind me, so I just turned around and boop. And then she didn't want to fight me. I thought that was the moment, like we about to fight. And so I was like, come on, bitch, I've been waiting for this day, come on. And I hit her again, and then I jumped up on the table because she would start charging at me, and then like it just was a fight. And then I ran upstairs, went into my room, and I'm like pacing back and forth, mad as fuck. And then she was like, I don't feel safe in this house. And I'm like, bitch, are you serious? You don't feel safe in your house after years of me not being able to do shit and you beating on me? Like, you don't feel safe in your house? That's what you gonna say? And I haven't done nothing to retaliate. Like, if she asked me for some water, she'd be like, drink it first. Like, as if I'm trying to do something to her, and I'm not that girl. Like, I don't know what you did in your past for you to be this way, but like, you can't keep treating me like this. So that happened, and I didn't feel sorry, not one bit, because I'm like, you created this. You created this monster that you have to deal with, because ultimately this is your doing. I didn't do anything to deserve the stuff that I went through, and this is just, you know, how it manifested to be. Like, everything happens for a reason. I'm not saying like I felt bad about it because she had a black eye. Like, you never want to see your mom in that type of position, especially after growing up and seeing somebody else do it to her. You don't want to be that person, but at the same time, it was like, this is what you get. That's what I was feeling, like, solely. And my father was like, you have to apologize to her. I'm like, nah, fuck that. And so I put my pride aside, and I went downstairs to apologize to her, and she was like, get the fuck out of my face. I'm like, okay, I did my part. I said what I had to say. And so we went for like a week or so without talking, and I still had to go with her wherever. So she wanted to go back to my grandfather's house that weekend, and we in the car still not talking. Like, and then she said, finally, because my mom is not a very vulnerable person. She doesn't like being vulnerable. She doesn't like crying in front of me. She acts really, really hard. And so she was like, you don't have nothing to say to me? And she started crying. I was like, oh, like, like, so I was like, you know, I didn't want this to happen.
But you had never seen her like that?
No. Yeah. No. And once she was really vulnerable to me, because she's never like that. She never opened up to me about certain stuff that I should go through or I shouldn't go through. She never talked to me about men or nothing. So I had to go throughout my life learning stuff on my own that I felt like she should have taught me. But the only thing she taught me how to do was to be upset when shit happens, like, and just go crazy, because that's all that it was. And so that moment was the real moment that we had to really fix it and mend it, because it wasn't an issue for her, because she never had no repercussions from any of her actions. She never had to deal with the hurt that I was dealing with. And so for her to be hurt out of the situation, like, is when I really like told her how I felt about certain things, and she apologized to me too, because she didn't see stuff how I saw it, because she's like, oh, it's my way or the highway. She's plowing, and my grandmother was like that too. It's very strict, very, parents say something, you do it, and that's it. Like, you have no say. And I'm not like that. I'm very rebellious, and I'm very like, okay, if I feel like it's wrong, I'm not going to do this. And if I feel like it's right, I'll do it. But it has to be in my eyes. I'm not just going to do certain stuff or take certain shit just because you're telling me it. Like, no. So she had to realize that, and I had to realize where she was coming from and how she grew up and stuff. And we had to have that talk. But it was years of pushing shit under the rug and letting it build up for it to all just blow over.
So was that like a healing moment, you would say? Or
when she apologized, yes. Because every time I bring it up, she was like, there ain't nothing wrong with you. Everybody go through shit, like blowing it under the rug. Yeah. And it was really traumatic for me, and she didn't understand that. And for her to really actually get it as I'm older and I'm telling her this wasn't right. Like, this situation that I was in wasn't right. And you have to understand that. And it like, everybody does go through shit, but everybody needs to heal from that shit. Yeah. And if it's no healing, they're going to keep that locked away. And then when it comes out into their relationships or family life, like all that type of stuff, it's for this exact reason. So healing needs to be had. Like, this conversation needed to be had. And I cried over it too, because usually I would cry over talking about the instances, but I would get upset more so than be sad about it, because like, you really don't get it. Like, you really don't understand where I'm coming from when I say this. And yeah. And like, can you say today, like, you have forgiven your mom? Yeah. Okay. What about, because you did say that you don't like your biological father. Okay, so I love him, but when I was younger, I did not like him.
Okay.
I didn't see him as a father figure. He knows this. Like the other day, I come to him because I do see him as a real man. He has his own other family that, you know, dynamic that he had. We grew up very differently than the children that he raised, but he is still a piece of me. And so, like, in his household, I like the structure of things. So I come to him as far as my relationship goes. I'm like, is this what a man is supposed to be doing and stuff like that? Because he told me before when I was younger that he failed me as a father. And I feel like, yeah, you're right. And so now you got to fix that. And so I come to him about that stuff. But he told me, like, you love Mike unconditionally, which is my stepdad's father. My stepfather's name.
Okay.
But he was like, you love him unconditionally, like no matter what he does, you're still gonna love him. And I'm like, yeah. He was like, I feel like, you know, every female goes after the man that is like their father, and you consider him a father more than you do me. And like, that's true. And he was like, so just by him knowing that, it just, you know, showed me like how much he knew he wasn't a part of my life. So it wasn't that I didn't like him. I just didn't like how he didn't show up. Yeah. The way I needed him to, and how I didn't know I needed him to until I got older.
Yeah. But you have forgiven him as well.
Yeah. So we talk and stuff, and I love him. I'll go see him and stuff like that. But as a child, I did not like him.
Did your mom create like a bad name around him, like you know when he was growing up?
No. So every family vacation, I solely made a decision not to go with them because I didn't want to be around them.
Oh, so this was all you?
Yeah.
Just okay.
Yeah, and so she didn't talk about him negatively, but because I had a father figure in my life, from when I was 3 months old, like from knowing ages, and he would always tell me, you know, I have my dad's last name, my biological father, but he would be like, you know, you're a Roberto baby, and I knew his side of the family more than I knew my biological father's side. So it was like, this is my dad. Why do I need to go see this man? I don't.
But was there any type of like animosity because you wish your biological father was like your stepdad? Like you wish he was in place of the stepdad?
I feel like everything happens for a reason, and he was in my life for a reason. And my brother situation, because my brother didn't like my stepdad either. Okay. And so it was always that dynamic of us against them. We were more alike than anything.
Are you a forgiving person or you hold grudges?
I'm a forgiving person.
Forgiving person?
Yeah.
Okay.
I keep shit in mind, but I will forgive you.
Yeah. How does, you know, everything that you've been through, how does that affect your personal relationships, you know, when you're dating?
I'm aggressive.
You're aggressive? Okay.
I went through an abusive relationship only because I didn't know how a man was supposed to treat a woman, really. And with that whole situation, it was like I was 16. I had just moved out of my mom's house, and I went to live with him. I graduated high school and everything, and I was living day to day with this one person, and, you know, loving him unconditionally, putting food in his house, had a car, he didn't have a car, would take him wherever he needed to go, and I was being used, but I didn't see it like that. I felt like I was staying down for the come up. You know, I felt like I could help him do what he needed to do to grow as a person. And he would cheat multiple times. I would always catch him. I don't know if I liked the thrill of catching him and doing what I did. Yeah. But that's just really what it was. And I would be the aggressor in most of the situations. And a lot of females don't see that. They be like, oh, I was in an abusive relationship. He hit me all the time, blah, blah, blah. But as women, you can't keep putting your hands on these men and feeling like, okay, I'm going to just keep doing it, and they don't have the right to retaliate. And it's not ever right for a man to put his hands on a woman, but it's not ever right. Mm-hmm. But in my situation, I hit him first. And I felt like I'm not going to hurt you in the same way that you hurt me because I know it's wrong. I'm going to just, you know, rough you up a little bit. We're going to fight about it and then get over it. You're going to stop doing this shit because this is going to be a consequence at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And it's not right to think like that. I don't think like that anymore. But from the beginning, I was always, you know, hurt and then hitting him. And then it came to a point where he felt like, okay, I'm going to hit you back. And it got bad because at the end of the day, you are a man. Whenever you get upset and angry, it's the testosterone that comes out, and you have this inner strength that comes out, and he really would hurt me. And he would always talk about, oh, that wasn't me that did it, and like, I don't know what it is, blah blah blah, and like acting as if, you know, he was really sorry about it. But it would be back to back to back to back. I remember one night, which was the worst night, and I really stopped messing with him after that. I went over there, and he was talking to me about something, and I found out he had a girl in his phone or something like that. And we had told each other we're not going to put our hands on each other no more. Like, that's not what we're going to do anymore. And so we hadn't put our hands on each other for a long time until this exact moment. And I talk aggressive. When I'm upset, I talk really aggressive. I cuss, and, you know, that's just me. And so because I was talking aggressive, he felt like attacked, I guess. Yeah. And so he choked me, put me up against the wall and choked me. I was like, you said you weren't going to put your hands on me no more. I was struggling to talk. And then he just was looking at me in my eyes, choked me. I'm like, okay, this is what this nigga want to do. So we start fighting real bad. And we fought. And then, like, I was telling him, well, you just like your daddy, da-da-da. He don't like that. And I would say anything to get under his skin, and, you know, try to get him off me. I would go grab knives. Like, I went crazy, and really fighting for, I felt like, my life at that time, because he just, like, something was like really wrong. Like, we just talked about you not putting your hands on me, and now at this moment you felt like it's okay because I'm talking to you aggressively. And then it just got worse throughout that night. I had a knot on my head. He took my keys. He said, you know, I don't want you to leave, trying to make me lay down with him and trying to seduce me to make me get over the situation. And, like, I was shaking. Like, I was really scared. Like, he took my phone because he didn't want me to call my mama. And I'm like begging him because I didn't want to sleep in the same bed with him. I wanted to go sleep on the couch. Every time I went out to the couch, he would let me sit out there for like 5 minutes and try to pull me back in the bedroom. I was really scared. So I tried to find a way to, like, tell him, like, everything's gonna be okay, we're gonna be together and stuff like that. I just need to go home. I need to go home, sleep this night off, and I'll be back tomorrow. Like, I was telling him, like, I'm good, like, I'm gonna come back. We fought like 5 times, and he's still like, okay, I want you, baby, da da. And so he gave me back my keys and my phone, and that was it. Like, I was done.
Yeah.
I could not go to work the next day. I had scratches on me, a knot on my forehead. Like, my mom, I got kicked out of her house. And so I didn't have the key to her house. So I sat outside in the car and slept outside in the car. And then turns out she was at this camping trip with my little brother. So I drove to where the campsite was at. I didn't get out of the car because I was fucked up. And she came to the window and was like, he put his hands on you. And it was like a deja vu moment because it was the exact situation that I was going through that she had went through. And because she would always talk about my stepdad like a dog, but this is the man you let raise your kids. This is the man that you trusted us with when you went out to deployment. She would say he was on drugs, like, just talk dirty about him. And I'm like, this is the same man you let raise me, and take care of me, and that you trusted me with. And now, because I love him, you have so much bad to say about him. Like, at the end of the day, that's your husband. Yeah. This is who you had a son with. Like, my little brother is his son. And so I feel like it was karma for me too, because I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, oh, I forgot what I said to her. I said something really mean, basically about the whole abuse situation. And that shit happened to me. And I'm not aggressive anymore. I'm not stressing myself out to look through his phone anymore. Like, that type of stuff, I don't condone, because it's toxic. It's very toxic. Yeah. And that's all that relationship was. And I felt like it happened for a reason, like I said, because now I know who I don't want in my life. And he basically told me he was using me, because after I had left, because he didn't have a license, didn't have nothing, like, literally dirtbag. Yeah. And I went off to the Navy and stuff, and he contacted me, and he was like, I finally got my license, finally got a new job, blah, blah, I got my car, you know, doing better for himself. And I was like, why couldn't you do none of that while I was there? He was like, you always had stuff, like, you always had the car and everything, so I didn't feel like I needed my own. I'm like, oh. Yeah. You were using me, and you're telling me that. I was like, stop talking, because you're pissing me off. Like, really stop talking, because that's what a lot of females do. They enable guys thinking that, you know, they're going to eventually come up while they're together with them. But it's all enabling. Yeah. Like, it's those maternal instincts. Like, you think you can make a man into... Yeah, sometimes the best thing to do for people is nothing. Yeah. Make them figure shit out on their own, and that's what he did. So, I mean, I know my role I played in his life. I know the role he played in my life, so I don't regret any of it. Yeah. I do think, you know, he's learned a lot. He has a daughter now, so... he gonna think twice about what the fuck he did and how he gonna teach his daughter.
You think like once a man is like an abuser, like it's something that they can't change, or you think they can stop that?
They need help.
Yeah,
they need help because a lot of men that are abusers saw their father abuse their mother, or because it's tricky because some men that seen their father abuse their mother will never abuse a woman because they saw the effect, or they just become comfortable with it because they don't have a relationship with their mother that's good enough for them to be like, oh, I'm not gonna put my hands on a woman because I saw how it affected her. So it just depends. Like, they need to really get into the root of their issues, the real demons that's inside of them, because a lot of them just have problem with females being having a masculine tendency, like to be in control, having the alpha tendency, and being bosses. Like they're offended by that because they become demasculinized, and that's all it is. Like, a lot of men that are abusers are insecure about themselves and how they can run the relationship. So they feel like beating them is making them scared and have a power over them. That's really what I view it as.
Yeah. What kind of state of mind are you in, like, right now in life?
Push for growth.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out all my gifts, because it was a point in time where I just dismissed my creativity, dismissed my subconscious, and was just trying to live life by the book. And there's so much more to me, like I was saying, like I have to tap into that. And growth is all that this journey has been, and aligning with my real purpose, and so just pushing myself to grow more, self-development, all that type of stuff.
Yeah. And is your current relationship, is it fulfilling?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so.
So it's part of like your growth, and
yes,
and because sometimes relationship can be the one thing that's holding you back.
Also, right?
You know what I'm saying?
And I don't feel that with him. And so with every other, he's not like any other guy that I've been attracted to. Like, if I saw him on a board of line of men to pick, I wouldn't have picked him. And he knows that. He's not like anybody that I've ever been with before.
Don't be saying this to him.
He knows that. Because like I wouldn't have picked him, but we were together for a reason. He's grown a lot through me. I've grown a lot through him. We've learned from each other a lot. So it's like, this is the one for me.
All right. So is he not like your type in the sense of like attractiveness, the way he looks and stuff?
He's very sexy, but I used to like tall, dark-skinned, skinny niggas. Like, that just was my go-to. And he was something different. He's from Detroit. Like, he has this like type of swag about him. And he's shorter than what I would usually go for. He's like my height. He's taller than me, but he's not as tall as I would have went for. But
when you wear heels, are you taller than him?
Slightly. I have to wear like.
You have to, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So then, what is the? Because if he's not that type that you used to go for, how does he compensate for that? What do you learn from it? Is it his mind? Is it the advice he gives you? Is it what he's showing you? Like,
he's
what is?
Showing me something different.
Okay.
And he's very like he was a very mysterious type of person. Like, I didn't like him because I couldn't read him. And I didn't like the fact that he had this persona of perfect. Like, anybody that's perfect to me, when I first see them, I don't like them because there's so much shit deeper under that they're not showing, and that they don't want to show. And that shows me insecurity. Like, when somebody wants to be so perfect, it's something that's not right within them. And I see that. So I would push him away. Like, it was a very rocky situation. Like, I didn't really want to be with him, but I would still entertain him. And then I really got to know him, the deep shit. And I was able to help him through that. And then when he saw that I was real and that I wanted him to be real with me, he was able to come out of that shell. And I saw all the flaws, and I appreciate that. Like, flaws are perfection to me. Like, that's who you really are. That's your real truth. So be that and live in that. And so when he broke out of that shell and showed me that you can really grow, because every other past relationship I've been in, it's like, shit happens, then you have to talk about it, and then they say they're gonna change, then shit happens again, and repeat shit. But with him, nothing has ever happened twice. Like, we've talked about it, moved on from it, and then next obstacle, what's next? Like, let's get through it together.
That's dope. Like, if somebody can actually like learn from situations and improve, you know, that's the best way. Yeah. So, you know, should more people go for what, you know, we all have our type, right? You know, should we go for what may not be our type and just try it out? You know what I'm saying? And see, because you might never know a whole new world, whole new reality, and it's part of growth too, right?
Yeah, and if you think about it, a lot of people that are in marriage, long-term marriages, they talk about how their partner wasn't really their type.
Yeah.
And how, like, because image is one thing. Like, I will never mess with a tall, dark-skinned, skinny man again, because like they just shown me that it's toxic. Like, the dick might be good, but you aren't as a person, and that's what's toxic about it. Like, because sex could be something that you really stuck on in a relationship. Like, you don't want to go anywhere else. You don't want another body, so you stick with this one person because of the dick. Yeah. And it's really a powerful tool. And I feel like people should stray away from, you know, their only satisfaction, because they can be satisfied somewhere else. And it's not always, you know, this one type having this one thing. It's people that you attract and people that you're attracted to. Yeah. So everyone has a different preference, and I feel like it's all deep rooted on why you have this preference and why this person is who you're attracted to. That's a part of growth as well. Like, anybody that you have a relationship with, they all have lessons that need to be learned. Like, people with karmic links with that you have with, it's a lesson that needs to be learned from this person. They're very meaningful and a part of your life, but this might not be the person that you are meant to be with for the rest of your life. Yeah. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Well, yo, this was really, really dope. You know, I learned a lot from you. Like, I appreciate you being like transparent. That's always dope, you know what I mean? And I love to bring people back, you know what I mean, to have conversations on where they are in their lives and stuff, you know. And I definitely want to get into more conversations about the spiritual world and whatnot, you know.
Next time.
But don't read me. I don't want you to read me. I don't want no. I just don't want to find out shit. Okay. Like,
all right.
I need to figure shit out on my own, and then I'll come to you. Because I don't want somebody to tell me this is what's going to happen to you next month.
It's not that. It's not that. It's just reading. We'll talk about it. I guess.
Dope. Okay, dope. All right, thanks for coming. And we'll see you again soon.
Okay, how?